In the previous part, we have completed about the Neolithic way of life and how it was in Mehrgarh, which is in the foothills of Baluchistan, which is around 7000 BC, and how is it spread in the middle and the upper Indus Valley and all these things, and how they had mastered the use of the copper and how to use the ore, and they have become the earliest Chalcolithic sites, and also it marked the beginning of the Bronze Age. So until here we have completed the previous part. So in this part we are going to study about the Sindhu Saraswati civilization. So in this part we'll be studying about the Sindhu Saraswati civilization. So it all started with the fertile alluvial plains. So when you hear the word fertile, you can understand that the soil was rich in humus and all these things. And this fertile alluvial plains were found in the Indus and the Gagar Saraswati region. So in these basins, you will be able to find the fertile alluvial plains near the Indus and the Gagar Saraswati basin. So due to this proper water supply and the fertile land, we have seen that there was an increase of productivity. That is, when the people used to farm, they used to get more produce, so their productivity was more. So when there is more productivity, when you have more agriculture, what do you observe? It will be having increased prosperity because they have more food. In order to supply, they have more food, so that they will be able to gain more prosperity as well. So that is how the communities have been developed in these alluvial plains, because they were more suitable for living, because they had proper irrigation, they had water supply, they had fertile lands, and they also understood the use of copper because they have such influences as well. So they were able to do it. And along with this agriculture part, they have also done the pottery. They were skillful in pottery as well, where they have performed that in a large scale as well. So every region will have its own style of doing the pottery. So they had craft production as well. So this was most evident in both this Baluchistan part as well as in the Indus Saraswati Gagar bases also around 4000 BC. We had seen the increase of this craft production, and especially we'll see about the pottery part. Okay, so and they have also seen these fossils, the radiocarbon dates, about the some sites in the dried river belt of Saraswati, such as the Birana and Konal. That is the pre-Harappan phase. So when you have seen the carbon dating was done, you have found out that the pre-Harappan styles were also there. The phase which was in between 7000 to 5000 BC, which we have seen in the places like Burana and Kunar. Okay, so there were many of these regional styles which evolved over time and became standard features of the Sindhu Saraswati civilization by around 2500 BC. Okay, so along with the pottery, they have also done the use of the semi-precious stones. They've used the semi-precious stones, and they have started to make the shell bangles and the use of steels, the terracotta objects, and the copper working. So all of this was also seen along with the pottery. So first, initially they started with agriculture productivity, and because they were more suitable, so later they have also learned various things, such as the main one was the pottery, and then along with the use of the semi-precious tools and stones and the shell bangles, terracotta objects, and all these things were also there. So along with this, we have also seen the Harappan writings as well. Harappan writings as well. So Harappans basically were not just involved in agriculture, is what we can see, because we think that initially people started with agriculture. So the Harappans, they have not stopped themselves just with agriculture. They have performed various arts, and majority was the pottery one, and which has boosted their economy as well. So with this, we have understood about what they have performed. They have also performed the graffiti on pottery, which you can find in the Harappan sites like the places known as Harappa, Rahman and Kunal. We have found those reports of these graffiti and all the other geometric and simple animal motifs. Okay, so I have also used the script and the inscribed seals as well. So this is all we have seen, and they had both the technological advancements like the use of various tools as well as the growth of economic integration as well. So they have combined both the increase in technology as well as to increase their prosperity and the economic aspects. So they have integrated both the things, which is technology and economy, together to build up the emergence of the urban cities or the urban centers of the Harappan civilization. Okay, so and we've also seen that around nearly 5,000 years ago itself, they have also performed double crop as well. So they had such great developments they have performed nearly 5,000 years ago, which we are still performing right now. Even to today, people do the double crop cultivation. Like they have the seasonal rabi and the kharif that is even practiced today. And these we have also observed that they were practiced 5,000 years ago near the Harappan sites at the Kali Bangal. Okay, and we have to also remember that they had their own standard systems of weight, own standard weighing systems as well. Even though they weren't appropriate, but they had some method. That is, they had converted them into smaller units and as larger units. And for smaller units, they used the binary methods in order to calculate the weight, that is 1, 2, 4, 8, 60, and so on. And for larger units, they have used the multiple of 10, like 10, 20, 30, and so on, like that they have used for the smaller and the larger ones. And next, after this, you have studied about now about the Sindhu Saraswati civilization, how they had worked and all these things. So now we'll be moving to the Bronze Age civilizations outside India. So until now we have studied about how the Bronze Age has actually emerged in India. And in the previous grade 6 as well, we have studied in detail about this Sindhu Saraswati civilization, how their drains were planned, how was the water management, and all these things. So now moving to the Bronze Age, which is outside India. How was it outside India? So the main contemporary ones, along with the Harappans, there were three major civilizations. There were basically three major civilizations which are contemporary to the Harappan civilization. That is the Mesopotamia and the Egyptian and the Chinese civilization. So this is what you have to remember. And another important thing you have to learn is that there were basically four early world civilizations which had emerged, and those four which had emerged near the river plains. So they had proper fertile land as well as a proper irrigation system, and that is where proper civilizations have started to build up. So those were, when you see about them, we can note that we have also seen about the Sindhu Saraswati rivers, which had given rise to the Harappan civilization. And the next one is the Mesopotamia civilization, which was found or which was around or based upon the Euphrates and the Tigris rivers, which is in the West Asia. And when you speak about the Egyptian civilization, which was along the Nile River, and the last one is the Chinese civilization, which was in the basin, which is in the northern China. So you have to remember that wherever they were close to river and proper plains, that is where the four contemporary civilizations have been formed. So that is the Harappan, Mesopotamia, Egyptian, and the Chinese, which were along these rivers, that is Sindhu, Saraswati, Euphrates, and Tigris, Nile River, and the Ganges. So this is what you have to remember. And another thing you can remember is that, geographically speaking, both the Indus Saraswati or the Indus and the Gagar Saraswati valleys were a kind of close to the Mesopotamia. So they had a very strong influence on both the cultures, and they were more of a trade and strong contacts were seen in between the Harappan civilizations and the Mesopotamia, because they were nearer to each other and they had more trade connections. So that is how it had facilitated, or they had strong connection between the Harappan and the Mesopotamia. Okay, so now we'll be studying one by one about all the three, that is Mesopotamia, Egyptian, and the Chinese. First, starting with the Mesopotamia. Mesopotamian civilization. So whenever you read about this, the meaning of this is that it is land in between. So this has come from a Greek word which means to be the land in between. So the Greek name for the land which is drained, which is in between, the land which is in between the Euphrates and the Tigris rivers, which is in the west of Asia. So this Mesopotamian civilization, where is it actually at the present age? That is, it mainly includes Iraq and Kuwait. So these are the places, the present day places which the Mesopotamian civilization includes, and it also includes some parts of Turkey as southwestern Iran as well. So it also has a crescent moon, you know that shape, crescent shaped foothills of Zagros and Taurus, which is stretching from the Mediterranean in the west and to the Persian Gulf in the east, which is known as the Fertile Crescent, So that is why they had a higher agricultural potential. So you've already seen that whenever you will find a proper civilization, it is the combination of plains and river. So what is it that it had? This fertile crescent shaped land was found, which is stretching from the Mediterranean in the west to the Persian Gulf in the east. So that is why they had such great agricultural potential. So they have begun farming way back 12,000 years ago itself. So that they had started to do it very fast, and also the copper tools have arrived some 4,500 BC. So they were quick in their actions, and the arrival of this copper, so they have started agriculture 12,000 years ago, and the introduction of this copper tools was seen 4,500 years ago. So you can observe that after the introduction of this copper tools, their agriculture has become even more proper, and therefore they had other economic activities through which they have performed even much better prosperity. So they had also shifted to the craft production and trade. Production as well as the proper trade was also seen in this Mesopotamian civilization part. So you can see the map which is provided in your NCERT about this civilization, where it is found and how much it stretches back. And over the next 2000 years, after all of this, they have come up with large cities which have become the city states. So they were among the four major city based civilizations which flourished from 3500 BC itself. So in the Mesopotamia, we can find four major city based civilizations. What are these? So those four major ones are the Sumerian, Akkadian, Assyrian, and the Babylonian. In the next part, we'll be completing about each of these in detail, and as well as this, we'll also complete the ones that is the Egyptian and the Chinese in detail.